I hope you are familiar with this picture you are seen somewhere in Chennai. Those who are in Chennai, so this will be familiar. It is very near to the Marina Beach. It is a famous bridge. A name I hope I can say that is a Napier Bridge. It is the oldest tide arch bridge. The tide arch bridge also called as Bowstring Bridge. Okay, so this is an introduction, and it is built in 19. It is already built in 1869 by Francis Napier. So this is a picture explains you the what is a, how we can imagine how the Bowstring Bridge will be there, like a bow and arrow. The bow it will be like a bow. The main member, the bow, and it is string. It will be connected by the vertical member called a string. So they are mentioned as a bowstring bridge. Okay, so this is one introduction of the picture of a bowstring bridge. And this is my outline presentation today. What is a bridge? What is an arch and arch bridge? Basic principle, types of arch bridge. What is a bowstring arch bridge? Components of the tide arch bridge. Load transfer mechanism, design concept, stability of tide arch bridge, connection and fabrication. This is my outline of the presentation today. So everybody know what is a bridge. It is a connecting the area to area, or it is a structure to avoid the passage of the people to come over the obstacle. Without any obstacle, we can move over the free flow of the movement will be connected by this structural member called bridge. So you can see what is the bridge. The bridge is a structure providing a passage over an obstacle without closing the way beneath. The required passage may be for a road, or maybe for a railway, or pedestrians, or a canal, or pipelines. It can be used for not only for the roads and railway, it can for the movement of the people, or it will be also provided for the canal also and the pipeline also. Obstacle to be crossed may be a river, or a road, or a railway, or a valley. Okay, to have a not have any obstacles to free flow of the water of the roadways or railways, we'll be constructing a member called the bridge. So this is your introduction of the what is a bridge, and in the side by side you can see the picture. What you can give the explanation how what is a theory it will be began over there. You can see that explanation also given in through the picture also. So majorly the bridges or the main type of bridges are classified into truss bridge, arch bridge, suspension bridge, cable stayed bridges, slab bridges, and box girder bridges. This is all the main type of the bridges. So we will be seeing only the arch bridge. So what is the concept of the arch? So here in early days itself, they have used the concept of the arch bridge and constructed so many structures. Example for the dam. Okay, so you see so many structures in early days. All it will be like not a straight platform. It will be a curved windows, the curved pathways, and curved doors and all will be used. So what is the basic as an arch? You can see what is the definition of the arch, what is the speciality of the arch. An arch is a purely compression form. It can span a large area by resolving the force into the compressive stresses and in turn eliminate the tensile stress. So here, if you have a beam, okay, when the load is applied, it get deflected. So we will be having a tensile stress will be created. So here if you just rise and make a bend in the beam structure, the tensile stress will be eliminated, the compressive stress is created. So this compressive stress, it will be intense, it will be restored in the either end of the arch. So this is the concept of the arch, and this is sometimes refers to the arch action. All the forces in the arch will be carried to the ground. So what is created, what is the forces created in the arch? It will be transferred to the ground by pushing outward at the base. That is called as thrust. So the Romans, which are the first people that build the this concept, and perhaps the first in the world, fully appreciated the advantages of the arch and wall. You can see so many domes will be reflected in the structures. In the and what is the arch bridge? An arch bridge is a bridge with the abutments at each end shaped as a curved arch. Arch bridge works by the transferring the weight of bridge and the loads partially into the horizontal thrust and rested by the abutments at the either side. So it will be just transfer as a compressive force and just transfer the load to the abutments in the either side of the bridge. So this is the concept of the arch bridge. So why it is stronger? So that is what I told you, that an arch bridge is stronger than the beam bridge. Simply the beam has to have the weak point at the center where there is no vertical support, while arch press the weight and outward towards the support. Arch bridge meanwhile has been covered a longer distance up to 900 feet for a single arch. For the single arch, it can cover the length around 900 feet. So that is a benefit and stronger for the, by providing a single element, it can be able to cover the 900 feet, the wider span of the each bridge. So that is a specialty of the arch bridge. We'll be recommending over there. So this is a basic principle. This slide shows you the basic principle of the arch bridge. So the basic principle of the arch bridge is the curved design, which does not push the load forces straight down, but instead it will be conveyed along the curve of the arch to the support at the end, each end. So what is the concept now? It will be, it will not be, when the load is applied to the arch, it will not take down to the, towards the downward direction. It will be conveyed through the same arch profile itself, and it will be released to the each end of the bridge. So that is called as abutment. The supports are called as abutment, carry the loads of entire bridge and responsible for holding the arch in precise position in the unmoving position. That precise position is unmoving position. The conveying force across the arch is done via the center roll of the central keystone. So you can see the keystone in the picture what I have given. So through this, the forces will be conveyed and then sent to the each end of the support. So on the top of the arch, each weight push around the surrounding the rocks down and outward and making entire structures very rigid and strong. So this is a basic principle of the arch bridge. It will be followed. And usually you'll be seeing that you already studied, some students already studied in the, like what is 2-inch arch, 3-inch arch. So the support in two direction, it will be, it is 2-inch arch. So what is a similar way? What is 2-inch arch now? The arch member must be sustained by supports capable of developing the lateral as well as a normal reaction. The arch member should be shaped to avoid the introduction to the bending moment and for the towards the downward loads. When the load is applied to the arch, you should restore the, you should not create any bending moment. It will in turn convey to the along the arch axis and then it will be transferred to the support. So here the arch is acted upon the intermediate transverse downward point loads. Under this loadings, the arch deflects and shortening along the longitudinal axis to create the axial thrust, and which is in turn resisted by the inclined reactions R1 and R2. Resisting vertical and horizontal compound requires a sizable foundation or abutment. Depending upon the subsurface foundation material, you can construct the abutment, how much the reactions will be restoring at the support. So that is what the basic idea of the 2-inch arch. This also, all the bridges follows the 2-inch arch action. And what are the types of the arch bridge? So basically there is all corbel arch bridge. In the olden days, it will not look like a, it will not do the action of the arch, but it look like a arch bridge. You can see the picture in the first one. It is be arranged by the stone. So you can see what is a corbel arch bridge. Even though the corbel arch bridge does not function in the same way as true arch bridge, they are not conveyed any force across the arc. They can create to look very similar to the arch bridge, and they are made by laying the successive layer of the masonry or stone with each having successful large cantilevers. So this is a concept of the corbel arch bridge, but in this it is a false arch bridge. We can it's just arrangement of the masonry stone and it will be look like a arch bridge. And aqueducts and canal viaducts. This is also arch bridge. In olden days, in the ancient Roman people, they are used to take the pipelines through the aqueducts or canal viaducts. So this is only for meant for only the taking the pipelines and canal only. So that type of structure you'll be calling as aqueduct and canal viaduct. To bridge the large distance, the ancient Roman built a series of support where which were connected to the stone arches. These are series of arch structure where, but not only one layer like a ordinary bridge, but with several layers that could reach very impressive heights. So keep on just having it, and they'll be in aqueducts and all, it will be having a large heights will be achieved over here. So everything it will be, you can see that only the arch, the profile of the bridge will be can seen over there. It will not disturb the river or flow also, and it will be not, it will be bridge being between the two mountains, and it will be, the pipelines will be running along the this structure. So this is called aqueducts and canal viaducts. And deck arch bridge, the common arch bridge in which a deck is situated on the top is called as deck arch bridge. There is a two types. One is through arch bridge, the arch bridge in which deck is not situated completely above the arch, but it travels in part above, below. So, and it is suspended via the cables and tied by the, either it will be tied by the cables or unbarred. The famous Sydney Harbour Bridge is the best example of this type. You can see in the this picture, you can see this slightly, it will not be fully, it will be arrested. There will be a deck will be crossing over there. So that is through arch bridge. And what is a tied arch bridge? It is also known as bowstring arch bridge. It incorporates a tie between the two support. So just it is an arch bridge. There is a connection between these two support. Each either end of this bridge, there will be a tie will be called. So that will be calling as a tied arch bridge. It is also called as a bowstring bridge. So this is the introduction of the bowstring bridge. So how it will become picture, it will be there over there. So what is tied arch bridge? The tied arch bridge is an arch bridge in which the outward direction horizontal force of arches are bound as a tension. So what are we here? It will be here what you can see the picture, tension by a cord tying both the end of the arch, rather than by transferring the force to the ground. It will be just tied to this member. So I told you that in the arch bridge, there will be a compression force will be along this the curved portion of the beam, and then this reaction will be in turn will be just sent to the ground. Instead of sending to the ground, it will be in turn returned back to the horizontal member in the bottom. That will be it will be acting as a tension. So there will be a tie between the two end and tension force will be created. So if you just tie this two beam between the arch, it will be calling as a tied arch bridge. So that is a concept of the tied arch bridge. So what is that? So a tied arch bridge is an arch bridge in which outward directed horizontal force of the arches are bound as a tension by a cord tying between the arch end, rather than by the ground, the bridge foundation. Instead of transferring the force to the ground, it's just tying between these two ends and creating the tensile force. So that is a concept of the tied arch bridge. And this is strengthened cord, maybe the deck structure itself, or it consists of separate deck independent tie rod also. Either it will have a separate deck structure, or it is a independent deck structure also, it will be there. So you can see this picture side by side. It will be explain you what I am just telling you, that will give the clear picture also. And what is a tied arch bridge? The tied arch bridge rather rely on the top cord, which create a tension from the bottom cord. On the other hand, the thrust bridge rely on the horizontal restraint foundation. Tied arch bridge refer as a bowstring arch bridge or bowstring girder arch bridge. So this is what the name between the difference between the arch bridge and the tied arch bridge. Just arch bridge means just we have a foundation and arch. It will be this arch forces will be transferred to the foundation, but here we have additional girder will be tying between the two end, and then the tensile force will be created. So bringing back the force to the tie bridge. And what are the components of the tied arch bridge? There is a three main components. One is girder, and then the hanger, and then rib. So this is all the three main factors, three main components of the tied arch bridge. The tied arch bridge is composed of the arch rib. It will be calling as a arch rib. This main member, the curved portion beam is calling as a arch rib, and tension tie girder, the horizontal surface like a bottom cord in the truss member, the principal tie. So it is getting tied between these two end. It will be calling as a tie, tension tie girder, and the vertical, the straight lines. What you are seeing, that will be calling as anchors, is our primary component in the tied arch bridge. The tension tie girder connects the end of the arch ribs, converting the arch thrust to the tension through the large rigid end connection referred as to the arc called knuckle. So this is called, so I told you that just tying the arch force, the thrust is coming along the curved portion. It is bring back to the, by tying it, it becomes a tensile. So that can be achieved through the large rigid end connection referred to, is called as knuckle. So this name you just remember, in the further slide will be useful for us. And what is the anchor? So we have the depending upon on the inclination of the anchor for the tied arch bridge. In the analysis, we'll be consider the three different uses of the hanger arrangement as follows. There are three things. One is vertical, an Ellison, and Langer system. So what is the difference between that? Vertical member referred as a Langer system. Here the Ellison system having inclined anchor and the can improvement the system with the donated by the network system. Either you can say it is an Ellison system, or else it will be calling as a network system. So you can see this, this also one of the example for the bridge, how we can be, not you should be a vertical, and you can have inclined action also, it be possible. So picture also you can able to see side by side, will be explain you. What is the difference between the Langer system and the Ellison system? The figure 1 shows a which requires a dex with high rigidity who plays a role in tie for flexible arches, and the dex is suspended with a vertical anchor. In Ellison system, that is network system, which consists of a single rigid beam reinforced with the system of the anchor. In this system, the anchors are inclined and work as a variable section of the truss with a rigid bottom flange. So this is by Ellison system is patterned by Danish engineer 1926. He used for construction of over 60 bridges at the same time. So this is a, you can see the difference between the Langer system and the Ellison system. And the network of inclined anchors, figure 3. This is the third type of the anchor as an improved. So the improved version of the Ellison system, and with the expectation in the case of anchor cross each other at least once. This arrangement of the hanger determines a very slender structure and thus reduce the material consumption. The inclined anchor network system is patterned by the professor, and in 1956. You can see the example how they are working out the third type of the bridge in the figure. Here the types of tied arch bridge. This is a types of tied arch bridge. It is shouldered tied arch bridge. So what is shouldered now? We have support over there. Some tied arch bridges only tie a segment of a main arch directly and prolong and strengthen the cord to the tie to the top end axillarily. For example, the Fairmont Bridge in the Portland. You can see the example what I shown in the figure. So if we have a small support to the deck slab, from the deck slab there is small second which is from the main arch directly support to the what is the piers, and then it will be continued. So that is what it is shouldered tied arch bridge, and multiple span discrete tied arch. Discrete means it is not continuous, it is separate bridge, and it will be connected by the bridge. So this is a structure in the place where the single span is not sufficient. Okay, so for example, the Godavari Arch Bridge in India, it is example for this multi-span continuous tied arch bridge. This is this separate. Here it is a bridge. They are tying the cord continuously span over the piers. The arch feet coincide at the bridge piers, and the good visual indication that shared support at the piers and dynamic loads are distributed between the spans. And a single tied arch bridge for only for one span, only one single arch is be used. Usually for a single span, the two tied arch is placed in the parallel along the side of the deck. So the deck lines in between the arch. Axial tied arch or single tied arch bridge have most at the most one tied arch per span. Usually the centered in the middle, of the deck slab. So these are the varieties of tied arch bridge, and tilted tied arch bridge and tied arc twin. So some of the design tilt arc towards outward and inward with respect to the axle along the bridges will be calling as a tilted tied arch. Tied arch twin in analogy to the twin bridges. Two tied arch bridges erected side by side to increase the traffic capacity. So, but structurally independent, they may refer to the tied arch twin bridges. Each turn may use for the single and multi-span, discrete and continuous tied arch bridge. These are the varieties of the tied arch bridge. You can see this is a separate bridge and separate. For the increasing the picture shows the separate tied arch. It is not connected, but it is a tied arch bridge. So this is a previous slide explanation picture over there. So where up to where this tied arch bridge can be just constructed. The typical span for the tied arch bridge carries for the highways 75 meter to 270 meter. For the railways is recommended from between 50 meter to 200 meters. This is the recommended distance for the tied arch bridge. And how this tied arch bridge works. So we know the concept of the arch. I told you the force will be acting on the arch, that is arch rib. It will be just converting as a conveyed forces through the thrust and then transfer to the ground. So here what happens, how this forces will be transferred from the deck slab, all the moving vehicles just moving on the deck slab, how it will be getting transferred to the ground or the else foundation. The thrust arch rely on the horizontal restraint from the foundation. The vertical and horizontal reaction resolve into the along the arch member. The tied arch offers a solution. It can be arranged in such a way that the decks at just such a level that it carries a horizontal force as a tie member. By taking the arch thrust through the tie member, the primary requirement of the substructure reduce only the carrying the vertical loads. So how this tied arch bridge works? The thrust down the tied arch bridge decks are translated as a tension, and by a vertical ties between the decks and the arch, tiding the flatten it, and thereby to push on it tips outward to the apartment like other arch bridges. So through the load will be transferred through the angles, and then it will be like conveyed through the it will be conveyed through the arch rib and then to the foundations, like a archway will be working over there. So this is how I told you that. However, the tie arch or boosting bridge, these movements are restrained by the not by the abutment, but is strengthened by the cord. So this force from the arch rib, it is not transferred to the ground. Again, it will be bringing back to the tie as a tension member, as a cord. We are increasing the cord strengthen, the tie member strengthen, which ties the tips of the together, taking the thrust as a tension, rather like the string or the bow string. How this bow strings will be working out. Usually we'll be doing it in the sticks, no? So similar way, how the bow strings will be working, being a flattened. Therefore, it will be designed. This is also called as bow string arch or bow string graded bridge. So this is a thing. So here it will be in turn, it will be subject to the tension, and we have we're tying this two end support of the arch by the tie bridge. It will be getting displayed and it will be reduced. So here when this it is example overall structural behavior of the tied arch bridge. It is unloaded structure. When it is loaded, when the deck slab is loaded, and it will be just transferred through the hanger, and then in turn it will be the loads develop the thrust on the arch, and then the thrust balanced by the tension in the tie member, and the arch deflects free and nickels. When you have this, we have deflections. How it is getting behavior, you can understand this. The load transfer mechanism that I told you through the explanation through the figure, the arch support the bridge deck and its supporting member via the hanger, which connect the tension and the tension tie girder. At the each hanger or tie girder connection, the floor beam is connected through to the tie girder. The floor beam supports the stringers that support the concrete road deck slab and barrier curbs Between the arch lies a system of bracing. The upper bracing lies between the arch rib and resists the wind load and buckling of the arch rib members. Lower bracing serves as a similar purpose of as upper bracing in the resistance in wind load. Both the bracing system provides a resistance to any longitudinal distortion or a racking. So here the anchors and the bracing is connected between the two arches in order to withstand the lateral forces. So in order to lateral force like earthquake force or wind load, okay, so this all the upper bracings will be taken care. The lower bracing is similar to its similar purpose of upper bracing. It has to resist the wind load. Both the bracing system provide the resistance to the longitudinal distortion. So this is what the example for the boosting bridge floor plan. You can see the bottom, there is a floor beams connected to the tie member. And you can see the bracing for the, it is a steel structure, and this is a bracing for the two arch is connected by the bracing to withstand the lateral stability. Why the tie arch base is important? So it is recommended for 400 feet to 1000 feet. Okay, so if you go for the composite steel girder, only for 500 feet will be recommended. Segmental concrete bridge, it will be less than 600 feet. And steel through arch bridge, it is span between 300 to 600 feet. And tied arch is recommended for 1000 feet. It goes beyond that, we'll be recommending the cable stay bridge and suspension bridge more than 1500 feet. Only tied arch is ideal suit for the single span. Wherever if you want to have a single span bridge, will be using the tied arch bridge. We have need not have some piers inside the river flow. So that is what we'll be preferring the tied arch bridge. Many water crossing requires only one navigation span. So when you have the entire, you should not have any distortion in the river movement. So we should have only one span. So we'll be recommending the tied arch bridge. And design concept, what I told you, explain. So this is a design concept of the when the load is applied to the arch, there is no flexure due to the uniform. Instead of transferring to the as a deflected to the tension, it will in turn it does the force, vertical force into the like hard thrust, and then it will be resisted by the foundation. And then the convenient between the natural apportments. This the force, the trusses will be transferred to the end of the abutment. We can see through this structure, the gravity load is acting on the compression member, and then it will be resisting on the ground. So this is how the practical the loads will be transferred to the arch bridge. So this is the concept of the arch bridge. And what is the design concept for the tied arch bridge? The horizontal component, that is similar way. Here the load is applying it, and then instead of deflecting, and it is conveyed through the thrust, and then we are, because of tying between these two arches by the tie member, the horizontal component of the thrust at the end resisted by the tie, and we'll be just tying, and it will be in turn acting as a tension member. And the arch, so we had tie, hangers, and arch rib, and we have this, and we have hybrid tie arch, that will be called multiple span. We need so there is no much difference between the hybrid tie arch. Both the navigations are the points are same. We are making a clear span between this this hybrid tie bridge and the you can see in this difference. We have you can have obtained the same navigation clearance can be obtained between the hybrid tie arch and the tie arch. When the span is more, now we can use this hybrid tie arch. When the span is very little, we can recommend this instead of going for the multiple discrete arch. You can go for the hybrid tie. That will be gives economical. You can have the same span, same overall size of that achieved. The navigation can be achieved between the high tie arch. So you can see this design concept for the tie arch bridge. The fluxion and deflection due to the how this fluxion and deflection will be occur in the tie arch bridge now, due to the non-uniform load will be created. It will be resisted by the fluxual resistance of the rib and tie, or by the neck or hanger. So how this deflections will be and fluxes will be resisted by providing the rib the flexure stiffness of the rib, or else you can have by the anchor. Network anchors make the tied arch behave almost like a truss, with a rib and a tie as a truss cord. And network anchors has a benefit that it can improve the redundancy of the structure. So that is what we'll be recommending the network anchors over there. What is the difference between the network hanger and vertical hanger? Why we are recommending the network hanger instead of the vertical hanger? Network hanger, when it is lost, the cable is, it does not increase unsupport for the vertical. Any one hanger fails, it unsupported length increases, and there will be failure will be taken place. It is a double the loss of one hanger, double the unsupported length of the rib or a tie. So that is a drawback of the vertical hanger. Let me see how this one vertical hanger fails, how it is getting behaved. Consider that the effect of one hanger is getting failed. You can see this, we are just cutting down one hanger. You can see the unsupported length is getting created. Usually it will not be happen, but even though when it is material is getting failed, all this we are not connecting properly, this one hanger is getting failed, there will be a creation of the unsupported length will be created between this in the tie. Okay, so because of this, the unsupported tie, the tie girders will transfer directs to the intact hanger. It will be it will be transferred to the adjacent hanger to transfer the force. But when you're transferring force, again there is a unsupported the rib also have a problem over there. When it is because of this, there will be the truss line is a straight line between the hanger, and there will be because of this there will be offset will be created. This offset gives a flexure in the rib and double the hanger space, increasing the offset 4 folds. So this will be the offset will be created and flexure will be there. If the hanger is lost, most likely failure not downwards. Whenever you think that when the hanger is getting failed, the failure will not be happen downwards. It will be taken upward of the arch rib. Only it will be happen in the top of the arch rib failures. It will be upward failure action will be taken place. If you provide a network hanger in the arch, if any wire is any hanger cable is cut, okay, the rib will not lose the support from the support or losses in the single hanger. Even the loss all the cable at the single deck location will not cause a rib to be lose the support. So that is the advantages of the network hanger. And we have a thin structure also. Nowadays we have cable. If you see in the beginning the stage, I shown you the Napier bridge. The hanger is made up of the concrete structures, and it is huge. The deadbolt also will be huge over there. So in order to avoid, you can provide a cable like a hanger, the Nelson system and all. No? You can use a cable. I shown you so many figures are there. And Nelson system, that is a network system. It is better. You have a cable wires. It will be recommended. Now we are seeing the angles. Now we are using the tie girder. So they are saying that I section is suitable for. The recommendation of the high section for the tie girder. Overall, the entire structure, when this having, it should be having the torsional, because when the force is acting on that, when the like a wind force or the force is acting on the structure, okay, so there will be a torsion will be created. So here the overall torsion is very important in the bridge. When the force is acting on the bridge, the overall stiffness, torsional stiffness is important in the tied arch bridge. Even there is no loss overall torsional stiffness due to the switching of the box section. We have that hot roll section, we have the box section. So even though you can use either box section or the high section, but high sections have the more advantages compared to the box section. So I'll show you where. So here what they're saying now, essentially no loss for overall torsional stiffness due to the switching from the box section to the high section, ties of the same vertical stiffness. There are important benefit of high section, much more economical to build and maintain. Slightly we have less steel can be achieved. Much low fabrication cost and simpler connection, much easier to inspection, avoid secondary stress issues at the floor beams connection. So this are the advantages if you use the high section for the tie girder. I'm speaking for the tie girder. And here the recommendation of the tie girder. So why you are not using the box section? In the end force, in the when the force is getting in the end of these two member, that is the end of the two support, we are just using the recommending the box section. High end moment due to the floor beams will be getting deflected. So if you use similarly, if you use the high section, little end moment will be due to the floor beam deflection. So that is what we are recommending the high section for the tie girder. So probably you can recommend when you're designing the bridge, you can recommend high section for the tie girders. And I'll tell you this, the nickel, this is a type of nickel, though that is the connection with where the point we are just meeting these two point, this will be calling as a knuckle connection. So here the side plates should be same. When you are having this, if you go for the steel structure, the connection is very, very important. So we have to do properly the connection in the critical joints over there. Here when you're having the joint of meeting where the box rib and tie gate, these two that is inclined, okay, the side plates should be in the same plane when you're recommending this thing connections. And if you see this, the side plane in the same connection requires a rib and a time of a same which not usually not optimum. So we cannot able to use the same plane angle plate over there. The side plate in the same plane sometimes is a single plate. It should be have a single type. I shown in the figure, in that shape plate should be recommended for the connection of the box of the rib and the box of the tie. The connections, if you see this, there will be a stress will be created if you use like this type of connection. So if you had this plate, there is maybe a side plate in the same plane. Sometimes a single plate may be added as a internal plate, and there will be a trouble there will be a stress concentration will be created in this type of connection. So you are supposed to take when you use the box section. Similarly, if you use if you have the box section on the girder, there will be a properly will be transferred. All the force between the rib and ties are transferred by the in-plane loading plate through the fillet plate. This can be achieved by using the high section and the box rib. We can we'll be using the fillet wheel. All the force will be transferred by the in-plane loading of the plate. So here you have seen the connection. Next, how the stability of the design of the tied arch bridge. Early days, they are never came across the in-plane instability, because that the second order effect of the rib and tie counteracted each other. They think that they are tying this two tie member, and they're saying that they are not examining any in-plane instability of the structure of the tied arch bridge. But later on, so why they are think like that? Horizontal components of the ridge in the compression and the tie tensions are equal. They're considered, they're assuming that horizontal components of the rib compression and tie tension are equal. Vertical displacement of the rib and the tie are equal because of the angle. The distribution, the disturbing effect of the rib displacement is balanced by the restoring effect of the tie displacement. They are assumed all those things, so they are not examined. They are not susceptible to the in-plane instability of the designer. Later, they have just got that there will be failure of the structure, and they need of later stability. So which are the forces for the external horizontal forces like earthquake, wind, all those things, they examine that the need of lateral stability of the arch rib was recognized as the issue, but the second order analysis to account for it was considered beyond the level of technology available bridge engineer. So they used for the lateral stability, they used 2% loop, and then they used the direct design method to design the bracing for the structure for the tied arch bridge, including bracing between the arch and the rib. So this is what the implementation of 2% rule, and then we have direct method for the angle to withstand the lateral stability of the tied arch bridge. So you can see in the Jefferson Barracks bridges, you can see this. There is no they not use this concept of 2% rule. they have more clearance between the, there is a disadvantages of the this method. And if Abraham Lincoln bridge, you can see this clear, note that low clearance will be there, and likely the bracing design the concept of 2% rule. So this is what the stability of the design of the tide arch bridge. It's a concept for when it is not used, and then it is when using the 2% load. And to avoid this failure, so we know that it is due to the external forces, the beam will be, the structure will be getting deflected, and we have failures over there. How to avoid these failures? During the fabrication itself, if you use a steel structure, and if you have, you know what is a failure is going to come, in the casting, during the fabrication itself, you can keep as a camber. So here what they are telling now, the special technique was used to reduce the flexure in ribs and the tie, ribs and the tie. The concept is cambered. The camber is geometry that during the fabrication itself there will be rise in the structure. We know what is a load, and if a load is applied, they will come into the original position. So first they'll be cambering the geometry of the shape of the during the fabrication of the steel structure, and when the load is upward, it will come back to the original position, that is the final geometry loaded. That is what the dead load causes a shortening of the rib and elongation of the tie. This produces a downward deflection. So that is what downward. So there will be rising in the tie. As a secondary effect, the deflection produces a flexure in the rib and the tie. There is a secondary effect of the external load. There will be a creation of deflection in the produce a flexure in the rib and the tie. So there will be increasing the rib member also. The secondary flexure can be eliminated by the fabricating for the pre-stressed assembly. So here also the pre-stressed assembly fabrication is done. Same shape as a final, but a rib longer and a tie shorter to compensate the length of the changes under the loading. The gap in the tie is unstressed condition. You can see this. Fabricating this shape and finally loaded, it will come back to the original position. And there is a pre-stressed assembly concept of the fabrication. They'll be doing it. So how they are doing it now? So first they'll be rising the structure, and then they'll be fabricating this shape. That blue color one is a fabricated shape, and they'll be assembled the shape. While doing assembling, they'll be there. Once it is loaded, come back to the original position. That is what the white color shows. The gap in the tie is unstressed condition. The pre-stress to assemble the force into the assembled shape shown in the figure. And this is what how this induces the moment to the opposite dose will be caused by the dead load deflection. And here the dead load deflection release those induced moment, and then we have this procedure should be followed at dimension of each stage and indicating the drawing. So all this, there is a three things will be there. One is fabricated shape, one is the assembled shape, and the final shape. So this is what your fabrication stage of the tide arch bridge will be done over there. So what we have seen now, first we have seen what is a bridge. Next we have seen what is a arch, and what we have seen the arch bridge, and then we have seen what is your tide arch bridge, the basic principle of the tide arch bridge, how the load is getting transferred. If is what are the components of the tide arch bridge, that is a anchor, a rib, and the tie member. And then if it fails, the anchor is getting failed now, what is the behavior of the structure, and how we have seen the recommendation of the eye girder for the tie members, and how this getting fabricated and connection, all those things. I hope this lecture will be useful for you. This is only the introduction. So I not covered any design or code in this structure. And this is also one of the example of a single span tide arch bridge. Thank you.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Now the session is open for discussion.
Hello.
Hello.
I am Dhanasilan from Highways Department.
Tell me, sir.
Is there any specific IRC course for bow stick bridge, ma'am?
Sir, I not refer to all the code books, sir. So if anything, I'll respond you in this. I not gone to the in-depth for the design portion, sir. If anything, I'll reply you.
We have. Okay, I will do.
Actually, like ASTO, they will be following it, sir. ASTO,
Okay.
but particularly like the bridge concept, the loads will be like IRC loading. We can take it, but the concept are same. But recommendation of the code book I cannot find in the any subject, sir. But I not referred all this.
So, but we have on in American courts.
Yes, sir. The ASTO and all is there, sir.
Yes. And my second question is, beyond that is, other than the Napier Bridge, is there
Yes,
any
sir.
construction of, available, any structure available in India other than the Napier Bridge?
Sir, in Velachery, there is in there, sir. In Velachery, in Chennai itself, in Velachery, near the railway station, there is a bow string bridge with a tide on. We have seen a single tide. In the Napier Bridge, there is no tie between the two arches. It is an independent arch is going on there. Because to have a wider space of the roadway, they are not tying it. But in the same in Velachery, in Chennai itself, in Velachery, near the railway station, you can see that a bowstring bridge with a tied one, special one. It is one tie, only one in the ridge. Ridge it will be getting tied.
Okay,
That
madam.
is
Thank
I can
you.
see.
Thank you, madam. Your presentation is very nice.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Namaste, madam. This is Uma Shankar from Karnataka.
Yes, sir.
Madam, as you are telling that we are using a steel material for
Yes,
making
sir.
these bridges.
No, sir. You can either you can
there-
use material. You can use all what you say prefabricated can be used and this thing. Only for the arch, we are supposed to use the concrete or either steel will be recommended. Nowadays, they are using the composite materials, sir.
Yeah, ma'am. I am coming to the same question only. If we are using a composite material, because as we have seen from the literature, the composite material, they are little bit rigid. They stress and curve. Okay, whenever there is their ultimate value, it will get failure.
Okay.
There is no that much amount of ductility in the composite, the member.
Okay, sir.
Okay, because whenever we are using these type of bridges in aggressive environment, where there is a snow is there. Okay, normally if you use the steel, it is subjected to the corrosion. Okay, that's why what is the suggestion from you, madam?
So if you see that the type of corrosion, although we are using the stainless steel structures. Nowadays it will be there. Either you can use the stainless steel structure or else you can go for the concrete material. That will be advisable in that type of scenario, sir.
Okay, thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir.
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Madam, this is Chuklingam Vijayarangan. I'm
yes, sir.
independent consultant. Basically, I'm not a design engineer. I'm a consultant for EOD
Yes,
and
sir.
claims. But even though I'm working for some civil projects,
Yes, sir.
consultancy support, I would like to know if there is any special software for this bridges design and all.
Bridges and all is there, sir. Particularly like CSA bridge. So many softwares are there, sir.
Midas bridges.
There is
also,
there, sir. Midas.
Now
Midas Civil
most of-
software.
yes, Midas Civil, and specifically for bridge, Midas Bridge is also available, sir.
And another one is Newly things, sir. Newly one software also is there. So 3D simulation also can be done by directly that. But right now I cannot able to remember, sir.
Oh, okay. This is for the lattice bridge and all we can design, no? The same software.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And my second question is, all this design reference, the parameters are taking, it is for the historical reference, no? For in case of any new type of issues, for loading pattern changes and all, what are the main parameters in place?
Sir, the concept is our same, sir. Only the members what you are doing it and the hanger, the inclination patterns and all change. In the olden days, what they use now, the vertical hanger they and all used. But nowadays, this and all it is newly concepted in foreign. All some other areas and all used. Only the cable stay bridge components and all they have revised. Only the rib only they have maintained, either it is in the steel or it is in the concrete structure over there. But the pattern of the hanger and all is good. You can see in this picture. Now I just seeing it. You can see that difference. These are all constructed bridges only. So they're
Yeah,
using this is a difference.
It's really very fantastic you have given the display.
It's a, thank you, sir.
This is all my question. Thanks.
There is a question from our own student. How will the slanted arches transfer the load?
Slanted arches. So we have some eccentricity will be there during that. So we have to calculate, and then according to that, the torsional force will be created. For that also we have to consider, and then we have to transfer the force. There will be eccentricity will be there in the inclination. So we have to.
Then the second question is, can you please explain 2% rule? And is the bridge in the last slide is a tied through arch?
2% rule is it is having equally shared what you say, we have either end ribs or will be there and equally shared forces that the shear will be transferred to the members.
The second part of the
given in the
question
slide itself.
yes, second part of the question is the bridge in the last slide is a tied through arch?
Yeah, it is a single arch bridge. It is tied by the, you can see the pattern of the anchor is different. And the deck slab is running. It is one end to other end. Either maybe it in this direction or under either direction. It will not be in the straight. It is diagonally connected. But in the bottom it is connected. You cannot see in this.
Then there is a question from Janardhan, Mr. Janardhan. How should I calculate the seismic design load for a short-term service here, that is 10 years?
For the seismic load,
how should I calculate the seismic design loads for short-term service here? I think
yesterday
this has been, this has been covered in the day one.
You can listen and you can. I think this will be suit for that, sir. Muttumani sir only.
Okay, sir. Janardhan sir, I'll share you the video. You can after the end of fourth session, I'll share you the complete video for all the webinar series. I guess you can get the answer from those lectures. If there are no other questions, then we can find it out. I mean, we can end up the sessions today. Is there any other questions from the participants? Okay. Thank you, ma'am. It was a wonderful presentation with colorful and beautiful pictures, and we could really see all the structures, even though if you are not staying in Chennai or elsewhere. So I thank Professor Vasiki for a wonderful presentation, and I also thank all the participants for the patience listening. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, participants, for listening my lecture. I hope I given only the introduction to the boosting bridge and the load transfer mechanism. This will be useful for you, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir.